Who's to blame for this?
Mainly you.
Is it even worth blaming and pointing fingers?
Yeah, it is. I want it to be exposed to put me through that torture. This is like a therapy session after being abused or something. I need to get it out. So my friend, in air quotes, Matt, suggested a movie by a actor, air quotes again, The Rock, also known as wooden acting, the person. And so we watched Black Adam.
Black Adam. Do you know who directed this movie?
A morally bankrupt individual.
Yeah, let's not make this long. So for me, I'll get it out of the way. Okay, yeah, if I'm to blame, I'm to blame. It's all good. But this was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in a movie theater. And I'm not exaggerating either. I would say top 10. No, I'll go top 5.
I can't be top 5. This is my top 3 worst of all time ever. Like ever of all time, top 3.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah,
it was.
It was bad.
It was really bad, and I think it was apparent in the first 90 seconds how bad it was going to be.
Yes, with the clumsy exposition prologue,
but somehow it progressively got worse.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, or it did. I don't know. I can't make words anymore. You know why I can't form coherent thought or sentences? Because neither could that movie. What I think they did is they're running short on money because it's a DC franchise is bankrupt, and they said, "Hey, we're going to kickstart a movie called Black Adam with a likable actor, quote unquote." And they got everyone's money together and said, "Okay, everyone's going to get like one sentence or one like paragraph in the movie." And so they got all walks of life. They got Lois in Chicago, or whatever, and Floyd in fucking Malta, Italy, or whatever else. They got people all over the world. Probably different languages too. They translated it poorly, and they said, "Let's put all these sentences together and make a movie out of it." And that's how that movie was constructed.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, that would make more explanation of how this
was this a crowd-funded movie? Was it a GoFundMe?
There was a line where they say, "Remember, I was being sarcastic."
Yeah, I remember a lot of. Well, I don't remember lines specifically, but I remember thinking, "How did that make it into this movie?" And that was a repetitive thing for about 2 hours watching this.
The Justice Society.
It was almost there were times where you and I were laughing, kind of uncontrollably in the theater because of how bad it was. But it was comedic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, okay, this is a comedy. I'm just going to look at it as a comedy and enjoy the movie. I couldn't even do that. The only highlights in the film were just laughing at the absurdity of certain scenes and line delivery. But the highlight of the movie for me was going to the bathroom. That was my highlight, and I'm not kidding about that. Yeah,
there was an attractive woman that used the restroom in front of us, and she walked to go use it and came back. When she came back, I got to see her silhouette.
This is true, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see the exit to the bathroom. We just saw the return, so we missed out on that. But yeah, other highlights in the movie were people leaving the theater and coming back and watching them.
It was entertaining.
Yeah, $42 this cost for us to see.
Yeah.
Should there be something put in place where, obviously people would take advantage of this, but should there be something put in place where you could get a refund if the movie is that bad?
You can. There's not a good thing. You can do that now.
You can?
Yeah.
How?
I did it for Charlie's Angels. I walked out, but I actually, Charlie's Angels was that bad.
Oh, was that the most recent one? The one that
I walked out of Charlie's Angels and Nice Guys.
Oh, no, I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a really bad movie. Yeah, I walked out of that movie.
Okay, well, we disagree on that. I think Nice Guys is great. Whatever, that's not what this podcast is about.
Charlie's Angels. It is about the choices you've made in life and the bad movies you picked and your bad decisions.
So,
that's what it's about.
So I should have a mirror in front of me right now, and I should really do some.
Yeah, you may have bought the ticket, but I'm not going to say thank you. Don't expect that.
No, I legitimately feel bad. I do.
You paid to put me through torture.
No, because you knew that this movie was not going to be great. You thought it might be okay.
I thought it'd be watchable. This is like if I'm like, hey, there's this BDSM dungeon, and I'm going to pay your entrance fee for them to put nipple clamps on you. And you're like, what? I don't want that at all. What? And it's too late. Haha.
That would have been preferable, I think. Something like that. So what I'm wondering now, after we've seen this, you read what you read and take it with a grain of salt. I read a huge opening weekend, big money. Critic reviews are in the toilet for this one, but audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, are kind of high. And again, take all that with a grain of salt.
So are Black Phone.
Will there be a sequel to this? Yep. There will.
It was a $200 million budget. They made $200 million so far.
Gross.
Over the next 6 months, they'll make at least $75 million more, $100 million.
Okay, so it'll do a 0.5 boost over the base budget. You're saying?
Yeah, marketing. I bet a lot of marketing. I bet this gets a modest profit.
Yeah,
modest. Which they already are in production of something else. Based off. I bet it gets more.
Right. The Rock he's such an interesting person
actor
to me. For someone who looks like him and has his it's hard to kind of diversify what he does. I do think the Gridiron Gang was good back in the day. I'm trying to think of anything else he's done that I've been really impressed by. The Rundown. I like The Rundown. I think I like his stuff before he blew up and became really, really big.
You're talking about the steroids?
It's true. Oh, yeah, that was another benefit of the movie. We got to see what The Rock would look like not on steroids.
Yeah.
And it's basically a very large kind of age face on an unusual body.
Yeah, Shazam is a dog whistle for steroids. Now I know that.
Finally, we got to the bottom of it. So we know what the movie's about.
Let's go through every character. That's a great idea.
Should we?
The woman was old, unlikable.
Okay. Ava Longoria or whoever, her doppelganger, she was kind of
Why would you even make that in the same sentence as that woman? That woman was like...
They looked exactly the same.
No, she's like the crypt keeper.
Okay, listen. No. Oh my God, really?
So she was in
I thought she was beautiful.
Mid-40s.
All right, well.
Totally unattractive, which is the goal.
We have a type. We have a different type.
The kid had no heart. He had nothing. He had no redeemable quality besides being annoying. It's like when you're like, I don't know. You have to watch like a teenage kid for like a few hours, like begrudgingly, and at first you think it's going to be great, and then like an hour, and you're like, I wish these parents would come back and take this kid.
Yeah, how does a kid get that part? He had no presence, in my opinion, and no line delivery, nothing. It was just a kid.
Yeah,
just a kid who could say words and skateboard. Maybe that's why he got the part. He could skateboard slowly around the set.
Yeah, I'm sure it has something to do with the producers and what they like. Yeah. You know what that means.
Yeah, wink, wink. I unfortunately do.
Besides pedophiles, the villain, which maybe is a good segue because that guy looked like one, not intimidating at all.
Yeah.
The heroes. Why do I care about Black Valkyrie Angel dude? What is his power? He had chinks in his armor that wasn't an Asian joke all over the place, like big like holes where you could just like, I don't know, throw a paperclip in. It would hurt. It was weird.
It was weird.
And he had a weapon. Like, was the weapon suit? It doesn't even do it. It's just a weapon.
Yeah.
He had a fucking Morning Star and then an axe.
Man, there was no range to any. I mean, granted, well, what kind of script you have to work with here, but where was the humanity in his character and his line delivery? I feel like there was nothing. It was flat and it was so wooden. I mean, I know this guy Aldis Hodge is a good actor, I think, but this was brutal.
He was diversity hire leader along with his boss. You know where else you saw diversity hire leader and the boss, coincidentally? Your stupid movie on Netflix with Gosling. What was it?
Oh, The Gray Man?
Same thing. Remember? Diversity hire, like, leader of the elite gang and his boss. Same thing.
What were they? The Justice Division? What was the name?
The Justice Failure.
The Justice Society.
The Injustice Society? That would make more sense.
That's what it was. And any time one of the characters said Justice Society, it was just laugh out loud. Yeah.
Okay, then we got like a weave extension, the woman, that she can control wind or something.
She could spin really fast and make tornadoes, I think. Yeah. What was her name? I don't even remember. Character's name.
I don't know.
I don't remember any of the characters' names, actually.
No. Then we got like Hispanic, fat, chubby dude.
He was tall and thin, though.
He was not thin. He was sitting in that limo, and you could see his gut just hanging out. His fucking Fortnite and soda gut.
And what was he? Atom Smasher? I do know a character. Atom Smasher. That was his name. Fortnite. Well, that's what it is now with the kids. That's what they're into, so they can relate to it.
That's like the guy who's 18 and everyone's like, "Hey, whatever you do, you don't ever take steroids. You don't need them right now." And he's like, "I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna eat everything I see." And he does, and he gains a bunch of fat and like 2 pounds of muscle. And you're like, "We told you don't take steroids. Like, what did you do?" That's what that guy was.
Yeah. What's funny about that actor? I know this because it's a story for not for this podcast, but he was legitimately cast as He-Man. They're revamping that franchise. This kid, Noah something, was He-Man, but he's been replaced. I think he did Black Adam instead. Maybe they're filming He-Man now with another young actor. But I'm trying to envision him as He-Man. There couldn't be worse casting as He-Man than this guy. And I was thinking it when I read that originally, which was probably a year ago. Anyways, that's just kind of an obscure point that I'm making there towards just the absurdity of certain casting choices in Hollywood now.
Yeah, and then you got, of course, underground boss bitch leader of the cryogenically frozen criminals or whatever. Who was she? Why do I care? The blonde with the short hair, of course, and the executive style clothing,
Oh, the one who comes up at the end?
Who actually would be semi-cute, but, like, she's, like, the in charge of all the Special Forces elite squads, because that happens all the time. Like, that's such a tired fucking plot point.
And why was this base at the beginning of the movie in fucking Louisiana when the ground separated?
Yeah, it's like...
just, like, well, these decisions are made, and there's a lot of money going into these shots. And where is the logic here? Where is it? Or is that the fun thing of it? There is no logic.
I don't know.
Do you know?
This does speak to what I told you. So,
and they tried to do, okay, I remember, sorry to interrupt. There was a scene in one of the X-Men movies, I want to say Days of Future Past, maybe, the one with Fassbender and McAvoy, where, what's his name? The kid who can slow time and he goes through, and there was a time in the bottle scene where he just controls time.
Yeah,
and
I've
he's
seen it many
running.
times.
Okay, so they tried to do that at the beginning. I feel like multiple times in this movie, and especially at the beginning with him going around and moving the guns and all. Just a miserable fail. And come up with some originality. It wasn't even done well. Anyways, sorry to jump on your point there.
I know what it's going to sound like. I don't care. I can make better action scenes. I promise you, I know I could.
I watched this on a computer? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying, like, if you let me lead, I'd be like, he's not going to do this. You know, one thing I can't stand, this isn't related to this movie necessarily, but when they do the, they're like, they have the dagger and they're holding it to the guy and he can't get it, and then he grabs it. John Wick does it. He grabs it and he starts hitting it. Like, it makes no sense. If you're putting all your force down, you won't be able to release tension and then hit again when you're pushing into someone. That happens all the time in movies. They, like, you know, they hit harder with the dagger and they stab them in the throat or their neck or whatever. Yeah. I'm making a point that these action scenes don't make sense, and they show to me you've never fought, you've never shot a weapon, and you've never been shot at. Yeah. They prove to me you've never done these things. Because these things are so unlikely. Like when the guy, the Delta Force, let's play this, you're going to have me, the director, on stage. Okay, you're a part of Intergang. That was the villain's fucking, like, group, by the way, Intergang. You're an Intergang. How do you get to Intergang? I'm going to give you how you get Intergang. You join the military, you know, United States, whatever. You join a NATO military. You join the infantry. You then do a bit of special forces. Then you maybe get brought onto Delta or something like that, right? Then you leave and become clandestine or some sort of, like, secret thing, and you go to South Africa and train child armies because you have no morality, right? Then you get recruited from that. If you've been listening so far, you've gone to infantry school, special forces school, Delta Force. You're in South Africa. You might have worked for the CIA. Then Intergang, you know, brings you on for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're an expert. You've been probably fighting your whole life. You're probably a fucking dysfunctional psychopath, but you have enough tactical awareness to still be alive, right? And you're going to, like, walk out of cover. They do shit like that. They walk out of cover and they start shooting, or they miss all the time. It's so unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do things that don't make any tactical sense.
But it's almost like offensive, unrealistic.
Yeah, because it's like they wouldn't do that.
Right.
Cover concealment, when the first thing you learn, cover concealment. They would not be popping out or making bad moves like the fucking mall rent-a-cops.
Yeah.
Or the classic, like, here's one I cannot stand. Okay, the kid. He takes the crown when he's running down the stairs or whatever.
Yes.
And they need him for leverage. No, you don't. Here's what you do. You shoot the kid in the head and you take the crown.
There goes the PG-13 rating, though.
And then you say, well, they can't do that. Great. Well, then don't make that scene. Make it something where it's realistic. I don't know. I could come up with it if I have a few moments to think, but I wouldn't be, oh, don't. We need him for later. They always do that shit.
It's like that shit from Austin Powers, what Dr. Evil would do, and they would make fun of it. It's like, well, let's tie him up and let's set a timer and it just do all this ridiculous bullshit.
I got a gun in my bedroom. It's like, yes. Shoot him in the head. And again, before, what I'm trying to say is, well, that would ruin the whole movie. There's more creative ways to do this stuff.
There really,
you know?
Yeah, there has to be.
I'll give you, there's a game, actually, little segue. There's a game called Fear, First Encounter Assault Recon. It was a horror first-person shooter.
Yeah.
It was recognized as having some of the best AI, artificial intelligence of any game in the world at the time. Because what would happen is, how do most video games work out? It's the same thing. You're Delta Force, you're your top, fucking assassin. You'd wait for the enemy to stupidly run across quickly and shoot them when they got out of cover. In this game, they'd stay in cover and throw fucking grenades at you, and then you'd be forced out of your position, which is what you do, because you force them out, and they'd shoot at you. They were smart. And people got pissed off because they're like, this game is really hard. Like, they're not doing this stupid, NPC shit. They're like, they're actually playing tactics on me. They're flashbanging and then coming in and shooting. I'm like, no, this is not good at all. I want to see that in a movie. Well, translate that. Make it be like, wow, these guys are trained special operators. You know, instead they're always dumb, like Renaclop level, stupid shit they do.
Yeah, and don't you think an audience would appreciate that so much more? The thing I think that I was thinking about during this movie is the fact that I already know this movie's made money and it's going to quote unquote satisfy audience members. But what does that say? The fact that a movie of this quality like this satisfies moviegoers? I don't get. It's concerning. Don't you agree? I mean, I think it's concerning, and we don't want to get too deep on whatever societal issues or anything like that. But it's concerning on an intellectual level that people are okay with watching this and giving it a thumbs up.
I told you before that it's low IQ and it's also immigrants. Whoa, what a segue. People that can't speak English, maybe, that are watching this stuff, that for them it's entertaining. They bring their kids, whatever else. It's the babysitter for 2 hours. They walk away. It had some explosions that were cool. They're not going for much more. It checks that box.
Interesting. Controversial, but certainly a talking point.
We can cut it out again. Okay.
No, we don't have to. I won't.
I think it does. So that's the thing. Like, if you want to satisfy a mass audience in an English-speaking country, which now our country is full of a lot of immigrants, usually from Mexico or whatever else, South America, Hispanic. I'm Hispanic. So you can't call me racist. Like, that's probably the ticket. You have a bunch of them go to a movie like this. Their kids watch it. They can barely understand it functionally, but they see enough of some flashing scenes and moves. You're like, okay, that's interesting enough. Mm-hmm. And that checks their box. They're not going there for existential, philosophy or whatever. They're going for...
Sure.
Explosion. Do you remember when The Rock teleported across and he shocked that guy to death? Cool.
Yeah, that's the only audience niche. I guess I could say niche, right? That would, I think, satisfy is a very young prepubescent, and that's pretty much it.
I gotta admit, this whole podcast, I don't quite like how I'm presenting everything. Cause someday I'd think about it more because it goes more to action scenes. I'm thinking back to tactics. Remember when they said bring everything you've got?
Yes.
The first time The Rock shows up, Black Adam. Everybody is outside cover. They have their weapons trained on him. He kills the first guy. And they all stay lighted up, but they stay where they're at. In a real life, they would get behind cover because this guy has electricity and shit, and they'd give just enough of a sight picture for them to shoot the guy and, give themselves some cover. When he finally gets out, all of the trucks are 5 meters apart. You learn one of the first things you do is don't stand next to someone. Why? Because if all 10 of you stand next to each other, throw a grenade, you're all dead. You have a bunch of distance between you. These are just little tactical things where I'm like, who's your military advisor on this?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have, you're telling me in a war situation, they'd have 4 trucks, 10 feet apart, 300 dismounted units, all within one good rocket away from each other. That's not how it works.
Yeah, very disappointing. And I think about The Rock and his career before being an actor. And you're not a fan. You didn't follow this at all, but I did. And he was one of the best professional wrestlers to ever do it. And part of their job is to choreograph 30 or 40 minutes in a match. And you would just think that as an executive producer on this project, he would put more effort into doing that better. Just planning this out and working on the choreography and making it truly engaging, because none of the fight scenes, nothing that happened in this movie was engaging, in my opinion. It was all just disjointed and messy and blow up, wham, bam, just sloppy.
And then I think about this happens all the time in movies where they get great power. So the twink villain, right? Show me some backstory. First, give me a guy that looks more built.
Right.
And give me a backstory of a guy that fights. Why? Because when he gets his godlike power, I'll tell you one thing. You may have godlike power, but you can get the biggest guy in the world, the bodybuilder, versus the 5'10", 180-pound guy that can fight, and he will destroy your ass if you can't fight. Why I mention this is because these guys will get a godlike power. Does it teach them, like Neo in The Matrix, how to fight? How do they know how to fight? Yeah. Dodge, kick, headlock. How do they learn these moves?
Yeah.
Give me backstory. How did The Rock, Shazam, how did he know how to fight? He was a slave. He cut rock and shit like that and dug with his hands. Where did he learn to fight? Give me some backstory there.
Yeah.
Just a second. It would take seconds. I trained my son to be strong. It takes 13 seconds, to do that. And then the villain, but they don't. They just suddenly can do Ninja Gaiden type moves out of nowhere, because I guess godlike power also comes with martial arts abilities.
Yeah, so true, man. Just the lack of care for any of these characters comes, you could have, man, You could have done so much that just wasn't done with just a little bit of effective backstory with every single character. And there was no backstory, right, for anyone really besides The Rock. And it's, again, like you said, it was just like, what? Okay, his family, that's of course we can relate to that, but it just wasn't well done.
Remember the woman and her necklace handed down from generations?
Yeah, that was like the first 5 minutes, right? And they said something about, or she said something about the necklace, and it's been passed down for 2,000 years. Okay, I'm in. Yeah, I love that.
Well, and then it never came back. And her ancestors,
who never came back. That's true. Oh, this is bad.
Who were her ancestors?
And almost after every fucking fight and just punch flying in the air thing that happened, two of the main characters would just casually walk into the scene and just start talking. This is so bizarre. This is so bizarre, the whole thing. Oh, ridiculous.
They all go meet Black Adam to talk. She gets a phone call, and she puts her hand over here because she can't hear because no one's talking, by the way. But she needs her hand over here so she can hear better because she does.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know how to act like she's on the phone because she's a horrible actress.
Right.
And she's like, what is happening to you at this moment? Oh no, they are taking the crown. She just starts doing that. Like that's one of the moments you're like, we're trying to negotiate a peace, standoff here, and you're talking on your phone. It was so like out of place,
And when the crown is taken off the chubby guy's head and it makes some metal sound.
I thought the same.
Who did that?
Like
it was all out of place.
Pierce Brosnan at the end. I'll always remember you, my dear friend. How are they friends?
Yeah.
Why do I care? Where's the backstory in that?
You don't care. You
didn't give me a single bonding moment between the two of them.
They said some words at each other. That was it. Fucking bad, man. Okay. We've gone way too long on this. This does not deserve the amount of time that we're giving it. What do you score this guy?
I'm glad because I'm not even going to be fun. Like, I have a score and I thought about it. I give it a 2.
A 2. Yeah.
A 5 would be a movie was accomplished. And anything below that, that's how bad I think this is. This is one above absolute dog shit. Okay. And the only reason I'm giving that is because I feel bad for the special effects team that did some stuff.
Yeah.
And
you had mentioned the car ride home. How does an editor, a professional editor who probably has an incredible resume, I would assume, I haven't looked it up, but what does an editor do when they have this on their desk and they have to make this into a film? What's going through their mind?
Yeah, and then what's worse, you imagine the director's in there and you're like...
And their name is going to be attached to this forever.
Yeah. And you got the director in the room with you and you're like, okay, so catch me up on the story. And then this happens, and then like there's an explosion, and then we give backstory about the Nanarus. Yeah, because they're like an ancient tribe. So is there a scene with that explains that, or no? It's a tribe. We'll just do like a 3 minutes of just exposition on really complicated new terms no one's ever heard of from the audience, and the editor's just like sweating, like, Well, what else? Yeah, and there's a really like important part where he loses his wife. Oh, so you had like a moment where you showed like their tenderness and care. No, we just show where she dies. Like so she just dies,
and she looks exactly like the main actress. Which she may have been the main actress actually.
Like I thought they were gonna use that for the ancestor thing. Like, hey, I'm your descendant.
Yeah, it was brutal. 3.2 for me. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in theaters for sure. I want my money back, Dwayne. That was bad.
It was. At least it wasn't Interstellar.
Oh, Jesus, criminy. I don't want to talk about that.
I just love the trigger.
Talk about that.
You see his face right now. He's shaking. He's visibly angry.
Yeah.